Well, good evening. It's Matt McGinley. How you doing tonight? Well, let's see. This is the second day of the live stream daily briefing. Um, I'm getting used to my schedule, so as a briefing content provider, I'll either do this early in the morning or late at night as I kind of put the schedule together. So I'm deciding on the curriculum now and going over. Real kind of where this is all going to start and end. And then hopefully this will be an evergreen type of content where people will be able to kind of get up to speed with things and then reach out as they need for other resources. So the two things that I really wanted to get into are Michael Gerber's Emyth and a gentleman by the name of Jay Abraham. Uh, this is really not going to be a formal presentation of either of them, but just kind of an overview so that if you want to look it up before the next video, you kind of have a sense of like where we're starting from. All right. The E-Myth is basically the idea that anyone as an entrepreneur can achieve business success merely with the desire and drive and passion for what it is they do. And when you look at what a business needs to operate, you find that although there are attributes that make up an individual's personality that make them, drawn towards being an entrepreneur, success must come from a business focus and a business center. So Gerber isolates three different personalities, which he breaks down as the technician, as one part of it, the dreamer or visionary as another part of it, and then kind of like the business person as the third one. And overall, it seems that most people will actually feel that it's enough to actually have the dreamer mindset, um, and you know to have that vision and the passion to be able to do this, um, which is basically, I think, where most people start, that they have that emotional drive that they want to do this. Um, then there's something that comes into play, which is actually the technician part, which is how do I do this, which is physically um, putting together the product, physically putting together the service, physically delivering the product or service to the customer, end user, or client. And the last personality that comes in is really the business person or the manager. So someone who's not really driven by um, the day-to-day vision and passion of a dream, and someone who's not as technically proficient in all the areas that they need to be, but has a very good sense of the basis of what's necessary for business. That is solid accounting principles, managerial and organization principles, and being able to work with people as a leader. Okay. So, what Michael Gerber has basically isolated is that most of the people coming into wanting to do business as a business owner or business leader, they tend to skew towards either being a technician or a dreamer or visionary, and they lack the managerial aspects of running a business. And this is kind of where they tend to run into problems and being able to grow and scale their business. Michael Gerber isolates the fact that with proper design and organizational um, input, the business can actually become a franchise because everything is put into a system and the systems can therefore be replicated. So, for example, if you think of a McDonald's or you think of a Starbucks or you think of um, a Dunkin' Donuts, um, Taco Bell. You think of anything that's basically fast food or delivers food. The reason that they're able to scale to the billions of dollars that they do is that they've reduced everything for the delivery of the service to a simple system, and they found the most efficient system to deliver product or service on time, consistently, and as they say, delight the customer. So by going through Michael Gerber's E-Myth, it's my hope that we'll get to I think there are 8 principles. We'll get to the seventh principle, which is the marketing principle. And that launches into the systems, which is where I kind of think that people are ready to go to, which is marketing automation, and then interact with marketing automation, and then be able to draw from that experience automation of the entire enterprise or business. And what's starting to come out now is that artificial intelligence or AI as a driver for automation and digital transformation is just not something that springs out of nothingness. It comes from, again, that vision for the business owner and actually has some of their personality in it. So it's necessary to actually have a team together to be able to bring all of that to fruition. Okay. So I'm hoping to get through Gerber's Emyth in about a week at tops. Maybe doing a half hour on each aspect, giving you guys some worksheets, and then we'll do a follow up. Presentation on each one to really solidify the concepts in each one of those modules, and then that'll be something that'll be in the library that you can go ahead and use whenever you need it. Okay. Um, The next thing I wanted to talk about was a gentleman by the name of Jay Abraham. Um, for those of you who don't know Jay Abraham or have never heard of him, I would say to kind of sum up his life's work in a few words is he's responsible for maybe 25 to 30 billion dollars worth of sales, working as a business consultant across many different industries and categories and sectors. And what he was able to do is to bring so-called best practices or things that worked or efficiencies from one industry to another. So what ends up happening is best practices for a given sector tend to stay within that silo. Abraham worked across silos and therefore was able to extrapolate different things from different business sectors. Okay. He's written extensively. He's written about extensively. He has his own channel and resources. And again, we're going to do a top line on that and then give you the resources. Again, we're not going to delve in too deep into it, but I will give you enough to kind of whet your appetite. And then if there's more that you want on it, we can certainly deliver it to you. Okay. So basically, what I want to do is to give you the structure to get that in place for your marketing, and then give you the sense from a DIY standpoint, do it yourself. Because what I've found is most entrepreneurs and business owners, they are fundamentally that dreamer technician, and they bounce back and forth between each one. And once they get that business acumen under their belt, the last two stages, being marketing and systems, are the ones that everybody trips up on. And particularly now with the marketing stack being so deep and being so content heavy, the business owner, you need to know something about the marketing stack and how it works and why it works. But at the same time, you have to be involved in the content production, not from the standpoint of actually holding a camera or holding a microphone, but you do need to be in front of microphones and in front of cameras, and indeed produce content that people can capture and then send on to your audience. The aspects of that that need to be understood, that you will be responsible for, being with video or on video, on camera or with camera. That will, by doing that, we're including a microphone, which if the camera is not your friend or you don't feel comfortable with it as an ally, most people are comfortable with phone calls. So we want to get you up to speed with being able to handle a phone call and be able to be interviewed for podcasts, or whether or not your organization produces a podcast for your business, or whether you're going to be interviewed by other um, businesses and companies as a subject matter expert and be interviewed. And that way you can talk about your business and your product and your services and how it's a benefit to people. All right. So we want to get that part of it done for you so that you're comfortable with that. And then the third part is really anything text based. That could be articles, ebooks, white papers, reports. We want to just make sure that your voice is transferable and remains constant and consistent between all of those media, visual, audio, and text. Okay. Um, so once we kind of talk about that and have that established, we're going to talk about what the visual representation is for you and make sure that you're aware of the fact that there needs to be consistency between all of those elements of your brand in terms of color scheme, um, typography and font, just a whole host of things that go into graphic design that, people can do graphic design because everyone has some aesthetic sense of doing that. But when it comes to doing it for your business, at some point you're going to level up for a professional, whether it's someone doing a sign for your business. As you open your business, you start to, add more and more um, graphics to the business and graphic design. So you might actually have a gift box with an imprint on top. So is that imprint on top the same thing as what's over your front door? Is that in your stationery? Is that on your business card, etc.? Stationery, right? Um, so once we kind of have that topic covered, um, and you see the relationship between design and product and client customer satisfaction, we'll probably leave off with analytics and research, which is surprisingly where we start. All right. So, in other words, before we get into any of this, Michael Gerber and so on and so forth, we have to talk about what your relationship is with yourself, what it is you're doing, your mindset, and all of that, and then how you're going to develop relationships one on one with your audience, your customer, your client. So there's an idea of a need to have some clarity of purpose, clarity of vision, and then how you're going to deliver that. Okay. So with that, I'm going to leave you, and we're going to conclude tonight's presentation for Sunday night, November 21st, 2021, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.